You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Hey everybody, welcome. Oh, I feel so good, man. It is 7 o'clock on the dot, and it is the 29th of December. The last time you and I spoke on an official capacity at 7 o'clock on a weeknight was the 23rd. I was flanked by Matt and by Jay. I should say George Washington. And Jay, and I felt something coming on, and I was already giving it the business. I was giving it the business, all right, and I got through Christmas without it completely overtaking me. The ague. I did not let the ague take me like it took Father Washington, but I fought off and I defeated the ague. I know many of you out there have been taken by it, because it's just like, it's just nutty, but everything's fine now. Aurora is fine now, 100%. Oh, you should have seen it. And I let you guys, those of you who were there, I made an unannounced broadcast on Saturday night around 10:05 p.m. It's on pilled.net. You can go check it out. I don't think it's appropriate for rebroadcast. I don't know. But I played the moment. I caught it on Ring Cam. I played the moment on Saturday night as we were coming back home from this. We had dinner with my mother for her birthday, and I was parking the car, and I let all the ladies out in the driveway, so they had a shorter route to the house. It was all icy and stuff. And as I was parking the car, Aurora's head popped up and went, "Oh, Mom!" Her ears went back to normal. She was like living underwater for like 4 or 5 days with everything that was going on with her. And man, that was another thing that just weighed me down the entire Christmas, the entire Christmas holiday. I would have taken being absolutely leveled with a flu in bed if she were just fine. And everything worked out, and now I have perspective, so I can be a comfort to other friends of mine who are parents and a little bit behind me. I can tell, oh, don't worry. It's going to clear up. Didn't matter what kind of advice was given to me. Every time I called her name and it wasn't loud enough and she didn't look up, that just broke my heart. It didn't matter what the hell advice I was given. I was a mess until it cleared up. But now I have perspective. Now I have proof. The ears will drain themselves. Anyway, I hope you had a really blessed Christmas. And for those of you who are sponsors, monthly sponsors, members, YouTube members, wherever you are, just make sure you check the members only section. I have really great Christmas Eve footage that you're going to love. It's family tradition that started, very silly family tradition that started a few years ago. The Christmas parrot showed up again. The parrot, that's right. The parrot showed up again on Christmas Eve. Trust me, it's there for you. And please, it's a delightfully ridiculous tradition that started a few years ago. Also, get your copy of Ready Player One, because book club begins on January 5th, Monday, January 5th, after Quite Frankly concludes. You can get all the book club books, past and present, on the Quite Frankly Amazon storefront. A lot of stuff that people ask about that I use both in the studio, everyday life, the books. It's all in the Amazon storefront. And you can find that link in the description of the episode. So that's what we have. Also, speaking of members, if you are a YouTube member, have fun with the latest emoji. Tis well, it's called. It's Matt, the George Washington dead stare into the camera. He replaced the black wheelchair Santa since Christmas is behind us. Christmas Day is behind us. And now you have another legendary emoji. And we get to unlock more emoji spaces as people become members there. But I don't care how you support the show. Just do it. I have a couple of funny things here. This is to start the new year off right. I have some 2026 essentials for you. So all of the super chats from tonight and tomorrow, we're going to draw a name tomorrow. Here's 2026 essentials. You have a Shart survival kit. There's a lot of people out there. You're probably going to need this in your car, whatever. I know there's a lot of you out there who you have accidents. Well, this is going to be a Shart survival kit. Also, I have a subtle butt. This is like a it's like a fart filter, but also another ounce of silver, which over the weekend crossed the $80 mark. I know it dipped a little bit today. Silver. Did you hear me? Throw in a super chat. You're in the running for silver and all of this funny stuff to start the new year. And I'll find some other things to add on to it tomorrow. Start your silver. Start your silver year up nice and nice. We're going to go, speaking of your year, we're going to be going into your predictions that you gave me last year for 2025. See how many of you were right. And then we're going to start collecting all the predictions for 2026. That is already up on the forum, so you can go check it out. Rich Baris is going to be with us in a couple of minutes. And let me set the table real quick first. The big story from over the weekend is our boy Nick Shirley. He has done great for himself. And you know what? I had a couple of people say, Frank, you gotta get Nick on. He's on your show first. I said, I'm very honored to have had him on the show first. Because I saw the potential and he was great as what he did a couple of years ago, and I knew that this is just what it was going to be. Fantastic, very happy for him, and he's brave as all hell. Every time we say, "Well, man, Nick is doing some great work, but he better think smart," then he outdoes himself. Oh man, Nick's doing a great job. He better keep himself safe out there. Just got to trust he knows what he's doing. And honestly, there has to be connections here. Has to be. First of all, I don't know anybody, Mr. Beast, who can show up to Ecuador or El Salvador or something like that and say, hey, can I have access to your most high security prison and give me the tour and bring all your inmates out to the yard and, let me get a photo op with it? I mean, I don't know. Had to have made contacts along the way, but what he's done in Minnesota right now is fantastic, and it's actually it's cemented his legend in journalism, because it does not matter as of right now. It does not matter what outlet, what publication, what network. It doesn't matter what parent company. It doesn't matter how many billions, trillions of dollars in assets that company has. Nobody on earth can organically produce the amount of exposure, the amount of views that Nick had just done in this one 42-minute video documentary of what's going on in Minnesota, just with this one particular category of fraud. Okay? First of all, it's been going on for a long time. Long time. We've been reading about skims on all these types of programs, whether they be education-based, healthcare-based. This happens to be a little bit of both. All over the place, from Detroit to my state over here in New York. Minnesota is a big deal because obviously they bring over so many refugees from Somalia, a country we helped ruin, and then we bring them over here and obviously set them up with their own little pop-up fraud operations. Because you can't tell me they thought this up on their own. And they've been able to keep it up for as long as they have on their own. Billions and billions of dollars. Okay? Can't tell me they put this all together for themselves. Okay? No way in hell. Didn't happen. It's not happening. Anyway, as of right now, Nick has 120.5 million. 120.5 million views on this one 42-minute documentary that he put out there on the 26th. Show me anybody that can produce that organically. All the king's horses, all the king's men in corporate media can pump everything they got into this and still would not be able to get any of that stuff without using massive armies of bots. And what he's uncovered, again, is just crazy. You got all these daycares that are set up, these beehive buildings that have all of these different companies that are supposedly present in there. There are healthcare centers. There, maybe healthcare funds, healthcare pro, whatever it is, they're fronts for healthcare or some kind of education. And there are no children. There's nothing going on in the buildings at all. If you go in there inquiring about healthcare, just blank faces of people who can barely understand English, but they're just there because they're getting paid, and they're getting paid with millions. Every cubicle in these buildings that he went and knocked on the doors of has at least $1 to $4 million that flows through there over the course of any given year. It's just nuts. It's nuts. To watch it is incredible. And I mean, first things first. This, like I said before, this is the way it's always been. I mean, people right now I know are digging up local reporting in Minnesota itself that goes back 10, 15, 20 years. So, I mean, that's it. Just think about this. Think about people like Sam Bankman-Fried and the crypto scams that we were looking at that we know flowed through and washed through places like Ukraine and came right back around into the U.S. This is how they fundraise now. The political class is absolutely reviled, repulsive. The donor base is shrinking. This is the plan. Slush funds, theft and slush funds and corporate buffers in between the theft, which is taxation, and all of these things that you filter it through one program or another, and then front companies that then go and make political donations to whoever. And I'm sure Republicans get the kickbacks as well. That's why the Sam Bankman-Fried thing went by the wayside, because Republican and Democrats were probably getting midterm kickbacks from all of that laundering that was being done through that bloodbath out there in Ukraine that's still going on. So whether they're Somalians or Indians, Chinese, Mexicans, or Tim Waltz, some white doughboy bitch, we are infested with parasitical interests. Many of them, most of them foreign interests. Okay? And when you talk about the Somalians in particular, because you don't want to get too hung up, obviously, it's a big deal. It needs to be judged and dealt with quickly. Are we going to get that? I don't know. But it's all over the place. It's all over the place. And these people were definitely coached. They are all being taught how to do this stuff. These operations are too massive in size to go unnoticed if they were just being done. And that's it. I mean, you think about this. Think about this. You and I have withdrawal limits on our personal checking accounts at the bank. I had to go and pull some of the federal regulations for financial institutions like banks and credit unions. Here's just a couple of them that we all have to deal with. Currency transaction reporting. Financial institutions must file a CTR with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network for any cash deposit, withdrawal, exchange, or transfer of more than $10,000 in a single business day. Okay? Suspicious activity reports. Banks are required to report any suspicious transactions of $5,000 or more, or any amount of suspicious if that might indicate illegal activity, including attempts to structure transactions to avoid $10,000 limits. So in knowing how you have restrictions on how you can move your own money around, if you sent $9,500 a day for 5 days just to get things out, you're automatically suspicious. Record keeping. Institutions must maintain records of transfers more than $10,000. And we've talked about civil asset forfeiture. cases over the years, going back many years now on this show. These people are being coached. They're being protected. It's because it's because there's a very lucrative kickback. There's kickbacks. There are skims along the way. All right? All the women wrapped up in their scarves, they don't need that much. They really don't. They seem like they're very well fed. Okay? And the fact that they're all African is just a bonus because it's accountability insurance. Now, this is what we got from Tim Waltz today. Listen to this pudgy old creep running out this tired thing.
It's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed.
Well, you're one of them, right, Tim? You're one. There's no way that the governor and the legislature does not know what is going on with all of this money.
I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, for every crime.
It's fucking, listen, I don't care. I don't even care what script they run. I don't care what script that they stick to anymore. I don't care. Just clap everybody in irons. Let them mumble about white men as they're being arraigned. Please. Just let them mumble and then get rid of everybody. We got to get rid of everybody. I'm so done. There are constitutional points to be made about all this. I'm going to bring on Rich Baris in a second. There are constitutional points to be made about all of this stuff. But I can't anymore. You can't. The law means nothing. The law means nothing to people who don't even have commonly held code of ethics. It doesn't mean shit. And that's what you get every day. I understand why people out there are black-pilled. I understand I understand the black pills. I am volcano pilled. Okay, I have these tiny volcanic eruptions going on inside of me all the time. Rich Baris, Big Data Poll, the director of the whole damn thing. What is going on, Rich? It's good to have you back. One of the last nights of the year.
Hey, Frank. Merry Christmas to your audience. I hope they had a great Christmas and gonna have a great New Year. A safe one too, of course.
Absolutely.
I hear black pill immediately as I come on.
You know what? I'm looking at this the Minnesota stuff, and it's like I said before, it's not new. The way that the information was compiled and presented by Nick Shirley is staggering. But we know that that's what's going on because honestly, Rich, I'm going to let you roll on this one, but I just wanted to bring up the point here that when it comes to, the thing to remember about all this is that $18 billion, that's the number, the focal point in this particular story in this particular state. Most, if not all, of that $18 billion flows from Medicaid grants that the states have had they have a lot of discretion in moving around into whatever way they see fit. All of that money is unconstitutional. Even if it was going to teach autistic Somalians the alphabet, it was never intended to be provided by our government ever. So the fact that so much is being blatantly siphoned off by foreign gangs to leave the country altogether is just insult to injury. But this is why our federal government was never authorized to have and establish these programs.
Yeah, Frank, I would say this to everybody. I'm surprised I don't hear this more often, but immediately when I heard of this, I thought, okay, who's really in charge?
Yep.
You think they figured this out on their own,
Never.
folks?
No way.
Have you ever been? No chance. And, I think back even to Kamala Harris during the presidential election was calling for increases to Minnesota and other states, increases in funding for these programs. New York, if you think Minnesota is bad, wait until you see the grants that go to the state of New York, Frank. I mean, God knows, which communities, believe me when I tell you, and I get the unhappiness with the Somali community. I remember what the Mall of America looked like, when it was Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a totally overrun, disrupted, ruined area now, which used to be one of the most beautiful places in the country to be during the holidays. But I got to tell you, I do think a big part of the right's anger and the country's anger is misdirected. Believe me when I tell you, behind every corruption or fraud scandal among, marginalized communities, there's a white liberal. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Go find them.
Exactly what I was saying. I mean,
being exploited, and they're taking the money to allow themselves to be exploited. We will find this out if they pursue it. And speaking on this topic about black pill, look, the president's own sons are black pilling. Look at Eric Trump right now. Somebody better be going to jail. As a matter of fact, I just saw. I mean, I didn't just see it. I mean, I could tell you he's frustrated. Okay, like and part of this is just about pace, and I'm sure you'll want to talk about some of the other stuff too. But you have Harmeet going nuts on X yesterday. Like, there's just way too many people who forget they're not influencers anymore. You're a government official. Do your job. All right. So all you're doing by complaining people don't know about the statute of limitations is reminding everyone that Joe Biden's administration was much more efficient than you, because by this time Joe Biden had hundreds of people in jail already. Hundreds. High profile, no profile. Hundreds of people in jail. More than 400. More than Vladimir. He had more political prisoners in jail by November of his first year than Vladimir Putin had in Russia. And I'm not saying go out and arrest your own political prisoner for no reason. There's a difference. I'm talking about accountability. And one of the reasons so many people are blackpilling is because there's never any accountability. Listen, this issue, this fraud scandal, everyone says, well, it's going to fire up and help the right. No, it probably won't if there's no accountability. It's the same reason why Charlie's public execution didn't fire up the right in any of these races that Republicans got their asses kicked in all year long. Because when nobody is held accountable, when nobody is brought to justice, and I'm not saying, I do believe, and we can get into, I don't want to get into, but doors from Antifa, we know the groups who radicalized these kids, Frank. Doors should have been kicked in. Antifa should have been drug out by their transgender long hair. Like, this should have been what's it called? A crackdown. And it never came. So this scandal will not help the right either if there's no accountability.
I'm with you. I'm with you, and that's why I said don't get number one, don't get too dragged along by just the Somalian line. There's plenty to be said about cultural incompatibility and the legitimacy of all these refugee programs from the get-go. And how you know that there was going to be a clash. There was a clash that was going to be set up years down the line. It was an investment made. You can say all that and you'd be valid. But this is, like you said, it is. This is a very, very convenient front put out there. It's designed by the very nature of them being African to be a shield from accountability. You can just do it's like, hey, now Tim Walz gets to wrap his arms around them, say, you leave these Somalians alone, you racists. Now, thankfully, that's not working as much anymore, but I don't see how people not being fazed by the racism accusation is really resulting on the other end of that in some sort of unified political front. Like you said, the assassination of Charlie Kirk really only accelerated a fracture that was forming in all aspects of conservative media and special interest groups. Everybody just started pointing the finger because mainly if there's no real accountability, everybody starts wondering who's on the take.
Oh, exactly. And it's like, I spent a good portion of today's show going over the difference between the registered voter and the likely voter on the generic ballot that we're going to put out tomorrow to demonstrate really that, on the registered voter, it's really not that bad headed into this midterm year for Republicans. The real problem is that their base is fractured and they're not motivated. It's not even complacency. It is a feeling that I guess the bad guys really do always win. And they had this feeling going into the 24 election that this is a dire situation. And Donald Trump was running around talking about dismantling the deep state. Brought this up earlier today, 52 times at least that I could find. He said that he would end the Ukraine war within 24 hours, yet he just signed the National Defense Authorization Act, giving them even more money, despite the fact that Zelensky repeatedly has violated the outlined terms that Russians and the United States have come to agree on with the peace deal. And then, by the way, we welcome him into our country and into our White House. And what does this piece of shit do again? He tries to kill Putin last night. People are just like, if this couldn't do it, then I don't know what will. And I guess we're just effed. And this is a real problem because Republicans were in the midst of building a bigger coalition than they had ever seen before. But it required keeping or motivating first, then keeping the motivation of people who have been extremely what's the word? Skeptical's not the word. And disgruntled's not even the word. They just believed the political system was too broken. We're just going down, and that's it. And then Trump, not so much Republicans, Trump convinced them, no, give me one more try. Give me another try. And frankly, him letting them down and doing things. I mean, tonight is another perfect example. The humiliation session with Benjamin Netanyahu is going to hurt again. Like, it's just, and it's amazing because, I mean, they know it's true. They understand the missteps that that they made in this first year. They ask everybody for their opinion. They get that opinion. Go, oh yeah, I hear you. And then do this stupid shit again.
Well, you know what, Rich? You know what?
Not reading the room.
No, it's not. And you know what really pisses me off? That on the flip side of that, it was a really bad year for liberals. It was. I know. It was they couldn't even capitalize on it. It was a really bad. Their media is dead. They have zero star power. They're being exposed by citizen journalists left and right. But Republicans as a team have found a way to play down to their opponents once more. Take a look. I mean, here's another one. This is from therap.com. Just a little bit of an assessment of the media right now. Yeah. Entertainment media layoffs up 18% with over 17,000 jobs slashed in 2025. That is continuing trend from the past few years when it comes to television, film, news, streaming. I mean, there's a big constriction in these places that used to be the beating heart of the old order. And I know those people and that agenda has not gone away, but obviously there's moves and counter moves here. And I just feel I have not felt any momentum with the left, but it's just, I think it's more frustrating just to see so much squandered elsewhere.
Look, and we have seen poll after poll after poll. Neither party is particularly popular, but Democrats are less popular. Of course, we had a lot of propaganda polls from Quinnipiac and others that said, the Democrats' favorability is at 19%. I mean, guys, that's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that anyone on the right ever believed that and then used that as like a beacon for like hope that they were going to do better in these elections, ridiculous. First of all, even if it was true, Republicans won, and they won a lot in times when they were less popular than Democrats. So nobody ever should have thought that was going to have any predictive value. But secondly, it was intended, it was designed to keep Republicans complacent because we're not seeing the left really putting points on the board anywhere except for maybe with their radical judges and their activist judges, stuff like that. But they're not winning any of the big arguments in the country. Like, the country still agreed still agrees with the premise of the argument that the right made versus the left going into the 24 election. The problem is that the right exposed themselves. They did. And who is going to fend off America first when the left is so weak, when their institutions are so weak? Who's going to do it? The traitors on the right, the chameleons on the right. They're going to do it. And they're going to sabotage America first to make sure that they don't make any real gains in the moment of the left's vulnerability. And nobody should have been surprised with this because, of course, we saw this in 2017. It was the same thing, only I would argue they had the media helping them. They filled the role of opposition party while Democrats were really beaten down. But this time the right did it to themselves. And the voter is left saying to themselves, Frank, I'm talking about like the actual truly persuadable people, because the right's biggest problem is not mind changing, although that has happened somewhat. That's not the biggest problem. Their biggest problem is that a huge chunk of their base is checked out and just isn't voting. And coming in a midterm election won't as of now. So I'm not saying it can't change, but as of now, Republicans will get creamed. If the election was, the first Tuesday of this month, the first Tuesday of November, the first Tuesday of next month, Republicans would get destroyed. But it doesn't have to stay that way. But the right has to confront what you and I have been talking about for so many years. I don't know how many times I came on the show and I said, the election of one man, a revolution does not make. The real threat to America first is in their own ranks. It's the Lindsey Grahams and the Ted Cruzes who will try to blackmail the president in the passage of the BBB until they get airstrikes against Iran that are sufficient to them to satisfy their AIPAC donors. You know what I mean? I mean, this is what it comes down to. And right decided they weren't going to confront that, and and Trump himself is to blame for this in somewhat, because you can't put it all on him, because how do you govern as a president when people in your own party are traitors? Now at the same time, he's to blame for this. Some of those traitors you're supporting, Mr. President, and they screwed you, and you're letting them screw you to this very day, to this very day. So that he is to blame. You have to understand, guys, Trump or bust voters, this part of the coalition that he brought out, these people never believed in the system's ability to really work anymore. They only came out for him because he inspired them, and because they really did believe that the situation with the country is so dire that this probably was our last chance. And the way that was in a cavalier fashion ignored come spring into the summer of this year, almost soon to be last year, but during Trump's first year, it's not even how badly that those dire concerns were oh shush, we're busy bombing Iran, and shut up about the Epstein files, right? Like that I never said that. I never said I would release it after. It was the cavalier nature in which they did it. I could give you a timeline when all this started to fall apart. And it's with the Epstein thing, Frank. And I remember talking to Charlie about this before he died. He knew it. So did Andrew. That this was a serious threat to the coalition that they helped build. You are making yourself look like a fraud who covers up for criminal rich people, just like everybody else. You're making yourself look like a fraud, like a typical politician. And those young people are going to be out of here if you don't check yourself and handle this correctly. Instead, he didn't care. He fired off a tweet that said, if you got a problem with this, I don't need your support anymore. We hear it every single poll, Frank. Do you approve or disapprove of the job the president's doing? Every poll, somebody says, what are you talking about? The president said he doesn't need my support, so I strongly approve. Go yourself. Happens every poll. Then after that, he does the worst possible thing he can do instead of pivot back to the domestic, because they were roaring in the first 6 months, brother. 5-6 months with Doge and all that. They were let's call it 4 to 5. They were roaring and they were super popular, especially among these young, this MAGA, I would call them independents because they're not even fully Republicans. And they just gave it up. And then instead of pivoting back to what they were doing before, after the mishandling of that situation, they did what? They bombed Iran. Then we spent the next 6 to 8 weeks talking about Iran every single day. And everyone was screaming about affordability, affordability, affordability. And he called it a hoax. Come on, guys. This is not hard to figure out. And just you're a Trump supporter and you love him, that's fine. And if in your eyes he can do nothing wrong, that's fine. I'm telling you, even they know now I was right. I have messages saying, does it suck to be you? When yeah, it does sometimes.
Well, I know that when you report on this stuff on your show and when you come on my show,
I hate it.
I know that you're not you're not having a good time because you want success. And I guess there are certain perspectives people can take on what is successful, and if there's a certain kind of strategy at play. I don't see any strategy.
There's no strategy.
I don't see the foreign policy stuff has not. I want to see, me personally, I guess whenever I talk to people, I'm way too extreme for everybody in my life. But me, at this point, I want to see a complete withdrawal from the world, and I want to see a cleaning out of the interior of the United States. That's all I really want. And when I could not tell you really much of anything about the Venezuela situation since I started hearing about drug boats. I have completely checked out of all of those headlines. I don't care. Whatever. It has nothing to do with me. I'm paying for the bombs. I'm paying for the bombs, but it's just one of those things.
If this was about drugs, we would be bombing the narco state to the south because that's where all the drugs come from. They come from Mexico, folks. Venezuela is not the drug haven of the world. There is a long history there. American companies used to have their hands all over the oil in Venezuela, which is the largest in the world. Those reserves are the largest in the world. We used to, basically have a crony capitalist puppet state that allowed us to basically operate their energy sector. And then Hugo Chavez came along because that system, which is much like our system now, it works really well if you just want to be a loser who collects food stamps and bums around all day, get the basics. They didn't have that, but to get scraps, basics, and you're just cool with surviving and not thriving. And then if you're on the top of the food chain here, it works really well for you, but for the middle class, it crushes you. Hugo Chavez took advantage of that with false promises, but nonetheless, I mean, this is what happens when you don't take care of that huge group in the middle who gets nothing, right? And left-wing populism, as it's sold every time, turns into left-wing Marxism or tyranny, and democide. It leads to democide. But Hugo Chavez, he had a failed coup. Eventually, of course, that did succeed. Maduro will wind up taking power from him, and America's been pissed about it ever since. This is like part of Trump's Monroe Doctrine thing. But again, I would just say this. We have now for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It is not for our own benefit. We started asking this question because we have interviewed probably this year. Frank, this is interesting, Frank. We probably interviewed more people this year, which was not an election cycle, than we have ever interviewed in a single year since I've been in business. We have conducted a ridiculous amount of interviews with the American public. I can't believe how definitely conducted more focus groups in a single year, I would say. I think that's easy. The only one that may come close is when we did the tracking poll, which started in July. We conducted about rolling average 3,000 almost interviews would come in that rolling average every day. So that was a lot. But I still think this year we beat it out, and it's a non-election year. So we knew themes we were hearing from people, and we created that tracker, the Trump administration focus tracker, which is basically, do you think he's focused too much on foreign policy, foreign affairs, not enough on domestic, vice versa, right? Too much on domestic, not enough on foreign affairs, just about right. We had, and we've been tracking this for weeks. The administration looks at it every time we publish it. They have been at 50 to 54% since we started this, too focused on foreign affairs. Only 18% says that they're too focused on domestic affairs since we started the tracker. You know, I mean, it's unbelievable. That some people are seriously with a straight face argue they don't understand what the problem is when this man was elected to advance a domestic agenda.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Stop pretending like you don't understand what went wrong here. It's so up, and if you can't, then you're not being honest with yourself.
Well, Rich, you know, whenever we hear somebody like there's so many masks have not only slipped but just have been abandoned altogether. People like Mark Levin that I used to listen to almost
guy's a total scumbag,
almost daily. About 12 years ago, I listened to him.
See him attack my father?
No.
Oh my God, you didn't see that on Christmas Day? My dad taught me to be a Jew hater. You didn't see this? Oh Lord, he doesn't even know my father or my mother. Yeah. He said he expressed again what is. I have told people for years. This can give everybody a little bit of backstory, some behind the scenes stuff. I have always been very leery of Mark Levin because, as a guy who studies words and views, I'm really good at listening between the lines of what people say and then what could they really mean? And you always have to be careful not to read someone's heart, try to think you know their soul, right? You don't want to espouse subscribe or ascribe motives to them if they don't outwardly say something. But I've always been concerned that he is a supremacist, a Jewish supremacist, that he believes he is, by his DNA, better than other people. And a couple of times I heard him infer things that I've heard others in that crowd infer that is downright, I don't even know if you could call it racist, but you could call it supremacist in nature, which is that we as Europeans is one thing I've heard. This is one. We as Europeans have to constantly be on our guard about anti-Semitism from ourselves, within ourselves, because it's in our DNA. All right. This is something you'll hear from the Israel First Zionist crowd. Okay. And I have always told people I'm uncomfortable with him. I don't like some of the things he says. I think he's more than just a stupid person, which I think he is. He's an idiot who's used to having his bully ADL tactics work. He call you an anti-Semite, ruin your life, smear you. And he never had to actually debate anybody because he's always just screaming in a camera and allowed to do whatever he wants to do without any actual defense of an argument. And here he is losing his argument. He's losing his mind, and he outwardly just says it about me and others on Christmas Day and says, well, first of all, just name calling and stuff like that. Yeah, unknown pollster. Yeah, I'm an unknown pollster. Like, what other pollster has a 500,000 followers almost, you stupid schmuck? But whatever. He goes on and say that, like, I don't know if your parents taught it to you or you just couldn't help it because it's in your DNA. What's your heritage? Like, so here he is outwardly admitting that he does believe in that. Josh Hammer has expressed the same thing. So has Ben Shapiro, that Europeans, and by the way, I said I'm Italian and I'm Christian and proud of both since you asked, but they have these views that there is anti-Semitism in the DNA of Europeans. Guys, go search their tweets. You'll see it everywhere. It is like a thing.
But these are the minds that are driving policy. They are a gross minority in our country, which is something that this is the big this is the big crash that's going to happen, because there are only two ways that this can end. I'm a public opinion guy. I'm looking at the age signal. I'm looking at the trend. I don't know if you saw the poll we did this year, but Israel crashed when it came to, the sympathy question. Who do you have more sympathy towards, Israel or Palestine? Israel crashed this year. It was a trend that's been going on for a long time, but I would argue their policies in Gaza and their public relations tactics exacerbated what should have taken about 6 to 8 years to get to the margin we're at now. They did it in literally from the summer to now. And when we asked, I said, you know what? I'm just doing it. Do you think what has happened in Gaza, what Israel has done in Gaza, amounts to a genocide? As a country, Frank, we are genocide plus 11. All right.
If you are an America First identifying Republican by the ages of 18 to 29, you are double digits, 50 to 25 more sympathetic towards Israel. If you are in the, anything below 50, and by the way, even the 50 to 64 is barely 50% in favor of Israel sympathetically. Only super seniors are extremely sympathetic. So there's no future for this. You understand what I'm saying? And you're never going to win back the argument by calling everybody an anti-Semite. And all I was trying to point out for this entire year was that if you really love Israel, you will course correct and come up with a different strategy, because this, Megyn Kelly's right, this is going to create more hatred toward Israel, what you're doing. And they didn't listen. They exacerbated again. It should have taken us 6-8 years. If you were looking at the trend that Barnes and I had done a show going back decades and decades, if you would have taken the trend, just its normal progression, Frank, based on differing views by age, it should have taken anywhere roughly six to 8 years to get to where we are now. Less than 30% said they sympathize more with Israel. That's not one age group. That's everybody. So they don't have a coalition. We're never going back to that because they have no young demographic, including young evangelicals, who support them the way that Republicans used to support them. So where do we go? Because they have all the money and they have all the institutions, right? So the Republican establishment and they know about this. This was a big deal over the summer on Capitol Hill. The data circulated around everybody. It had conferences over it. The Republicans in the House and Senate had private, closed-door conferences over the Israel problem that they have among younger Republicans. And when I say younger, I mean under 50. So they can, Frank, they either have to react and adapt and evolve and become something else.
Well,
the party's in deep shit.
Here's what it comes down to is that if you are under 50, let's just say that, and you really wanted to see someone like Donald Trump succeed, and you know that everything needs to be domestically driven. Yeah. And then you see that every other week, Benjamin Netanyahu is standing next to him like a stalking butler.
Today again. And humiliating.
And it's just like, what are we doing? Can you get the hell out of here? And can we talk about something else? Can we just please stop? And the browbeating and the browbeating. We get a lot of it, man. But
that doesn't work, Frank. Browbeating only works.
I know
when you're in the majority and you're trying to browbeat a smaller group that is a dissident group. They're the small group now, and they're trying to browbeat the whole damn country. It's not going to happen. Nobody on the left or the center supports them anymore. Only 50 and above on the right does. And there's a reason why there's that divide. And I just want to say this right now. Again, many of these voters, most of these voters, really did believe that this was their last chance. The American dream for them and their generation is gone. And forget about conserving anything. It has to be restored. You have 1 year. Peak presidency, 1 year to get things done. Presidents and Congresses don't work together in the second year. They're campaigning. Americans aren't stupid. And every time they think they have an opportunity, some either lobby or foreign interest comes and steals their moment. And here we had that situation and that sentiment only really heated up because of the dire situation we're in, right? And what happens, Frank? We get to the spring and they just can't help themselves. They have to steal the last of Trump's political capital. Or not even steal. Trump gave it to them. But the voter feels like they did it again. And I don't mean just Israel. I'm talking about the blob, the military-industrial complex, the rich, the powerful, the influential. They did it again. We hear it all the time, Frank, all the time. I have spent months and months and months putting up transcripts from interviews with actual real voters, just so people, critics specifically, could see that this isn't about a top line number. Read the fucking voters' comments. Don't you have any empathy at all? You're living the dream, Mark Levin. Everyone below you, age-wise, is not. While you sat and screamed in a microphone like an idiot, conserving nothing, Our debt went to the moon. You conserved nothing. You handed the country to Barack Obama. Even when you had your own president, you destroyed the Republican Party, crashed the economy, and blew the peace dividend from the 90s. That's what you did. And you have the nerve to be mad at these kids?
Oh, talk about the kids for a second, because this,
holy crap,
this is where your Christmas poll even comes into question. Yeah, I was reading your Christmas polling.
My favorite poll of the year.
It's great. BigDataPoll.com. You guys got to check it out. The Christmas poll: 20 spirit alive and well, but church failures persist. That's the takeaway here. 90%. We look at the totals here of people who are celebrating Christmas. Overwhelming majority of people are. But the thing that I see here is this, and I've been asking questions about Gen Z, and I understand that there's a couple of things that are at the same time true. That Gen Z is the least religious generation in U.S. history as of right now, but also they are going to church more than any other generation, and that I know that as far as conversions and attendance in the Catholic Church and Orthodoxy, that is drawing so much attention from young people. They're moving away from Protestantism and, of course, the rampant Zionism there and everything else that's going on, and they're looking for tradition. They're looking for ancient tradition, and they're looking for something that seems a little bit more rebellious to everything else that's going on. Obviously looking for spiritual and religious solutions for problems that obviously have no political remedy, at least right now. When you talk about Mark Levin and any other kind of special interest group out there that is getting very, very upset with the unruly youth who have a tendency to like politically incorrect humor, to not even care about any of what was supposed to be just the run-of-the-mill political orthodoxy around here. You got to talk about Gen Z and then Alpha coming up right behind it. And I have to imagine that's going to continue to be an issue, especially if Gen Z and Alpha start actually having kids again.
Look at attend religious services on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Look at Gen Z and Alpha. I mean, folks, for those who have not seen the Christmas poll and don't know what we're talking about, these younger people are attending religious services more than other age groups. They have a fairly high belief in God. They hate the church. If you look at those who say, because to those who do not attend religious services, who answer no to that question, we will ask them specifically later why they're not doing it. All right. So why are you not going? And we'll give them several, the options are, it's a matter of inconvenience. Like, I just don't want to go, right? Others, personal beliefs, disapproval of the church. If you combine personal beliefs and disapproval of the church, it's very clear. And by the way, it's that disapproval of the churches is huge across all ages. Look at, my generation, I'm on the cusp of like millennial Gen X, right? If you look at those who are just slightly younger than me, it got even worse after my generation. People don't, and this is why the subheadline was what it was. People are tired of being lectured by hypocrites. The scandals having to do with, Protestants had theirs, the evangelicals had theirs, right? Pastor Hagee, who says, that he is a great example, by the way, of the impact of politics on religion, or foreign policy politics on religion. You have a pastor who outwardly preached that there's a group of people that are better than you and God loves more than he loves you. So why the hell would you attend that pastor's church or subscribe to his religion? Only if you are like a boomer fanatic who was taught to be, a Book of Revelation obsessor, then you would sit there in the pew and listen to that and shake your head along like, oh yeah, I get it. Okay, I understand. I'm inferior and I know why. That's crazy to these young people, Frank. It's crazy. Then you have other ones. That's Hagee, by the way, who I'm talking about. Then you have Jimmy Swaggart. By the way, both men caught having are adulterers. So they just don't know who to trust. And when they go to get spiritual guidance from these well-known leaders, instead, they get the agenda and propaganda of those who have supported and funded the organizations of these churches. Nobody wants to hear about foreign policy when they're trying to save their damn soul, Frank. All right. And then the Catholic Church has had their problem too. Gallup has shown this, the lack of accountability with the the sexual abuse scandals that has hurt bad in the minds of a lot of these voters. So they just don't know where to go, Frank. They are telling us we believe, and look, by the way, at the number who says, yes, I do believe that Jesus was the Son of God. Look at that. And it's like, well, what are we doing? Where are the church leaders? Where are they? For those who don't know, 92% in this country said they celebrate Christmas. That is because a huge amount of Muslims do celebrate Christmas and recognize Christ as a prophet. Even about 40 to 50% of Jewish faith voters have some celebration of Christmas, but really it comes from a lot of other, another religion just being, again, not guided spiritually the way that the church was entrusted by the Lord to guide their flock.
Wait, Rich. This right here on the top of the fifth and final page, that is the result of the question of Jesus being the Son of God. Or is that?
Yes, let me just make sure you're right. Let me look at that. Yes, 92.5%.
Because the question is at the bottom of page 4, and then the results are at the top of page 5.
Yes. Yep, 92.5% roughly is 93. You got to round up to 93.
But
we always like
still about 91% for 18 to 24.
You got to go through the crosstabs, guys. Go through the crosstabs and look at all of look at religion detail. And you will see the answer to that question, and it will stun you based on different religious details. And I have said this in my show that, like, I know some of them are small samples because they're awfully small subgroups, but we have been doing this poll for years now. And if we were to add up all of those years and subsamples, we see very clearly, like, there are a lot of Muslims who actually do think, you know what? He probably was the Son of God. Like, it's weird, it is weird, but it's real. And then there are a lot of people who say they have no specific religion who believe that Jesus was the Son of God. That is a failure of the church, Frank. I don't know what else it is. I don't know what else you could take it as. It's a failure of the church. The church needs to get back to what their primary job is, which is saving souls and shepherding the flock. It is not the job of the church to argue for the foreign policy objectives of other countries. This
Amen.
is crazy.
Yep. No, it's infuriating. The one thing I love this. I don't know. I'm drawn to your preferred Christmas color scheme question.
Yeah. What do you think? What would you have answered?
Okay. Well, let's just look at this for a second. Preferred Christmas color scheme answer. So we'll just stick with 18 to. I don't know. It's everybody's on the same thing here. The signature red and green takes it by far across all demographics.
Every year.
Then you have red and white, which is, a distant second, but still substantial. Metallic silver and gold. That's I would never take. I would probably go with red and white or red and green. I love both of those, but silver and gold schemes are really fun. I'll tell you one thing. You put pink and champagne / rose gold.
It's a real thing, brother.
Dude.
It's a real thing.
That right there, maybe for New Year's Eve.
Yes, I agree.
Maybe for New Year's Eve. Metallic silver and gold, that works for New Year's Eve as well. Anything champagne-y is good for New Year's Eve. But Victorial blue and silver.
It's actually supposed to be, I just noticed that I obviously mistyped that. It's Victorian blue.
Victorian blue.
Yes.
And
that's
silver.
like have the Biltmore estate. Have you ever been to the Biltmore? That she always liked the Victorian blue, which of course was shocker, surprise. But that's also like one of those. Some of these are, how could I put it? They just stand the test of time, but they were much more popular in different eras.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I mean every year signature red and green clobbers and classic red and white comes after. When we look at the other, which is we write in, we tell them you have to specifically tell us, or if you're doing it online, you got to write it in. What other? You know what pops up the most?
What?
Like Grinch, Grinch themes, and you like Yukon or what is called Nordic. It's just like a rustic look. Which after I think year one, I was like, what are people writing?
Mm.
Because when we researched it, I didn't see it. And then when I Googled it to see what everyone was talking about, I was able to find what they were talking about. And it's, again, something that had a phase, and some people still keep it around to this day.
Oh, well, Rich, I mean, listen, it's the second to last show of the year. So we're going to be doing a lot of retrospectives and looking forward. We did quite a bit of retrospective tonight and summing up where we have been, where we are, and we're going to be casting off into a brand new year, a year that has all the makings of something that can be just huge for us all. 250 years of America. I mean, there are so many personal and national milestones. I just hope that individuals continue to strive and reach beyond what they believe their potential is. Yeah. And we just have to make impacts on our own. I don't ever want to really digest that black pill. I'll spit a few out. I'll roll a few black pills along on my tongue, but I'm not going to ever really take them down. I can't do it, man. I just can't.
I agree with that 100%. I'm an eternal optimist, and I think people sometimes mistake what I'm doing for black pilling. But just like anything else, whether it's problem solving in general or addiction in life, any adversity that you come into contact with in your life, when you have a challenge or a problem, what are the steps to addressing them? You must first recognize that you in fact have a problem. Then you must identify what that problem is, what is the root of it, and then you can begin to move past it. Sitting there and pretending like you don't have one is never going to fix it, Frank. It never, and so believe me, when I'm doing this, it's all with good intentions. And I myself am an eternal optimist. I actually do think that we have a lot of economic potential this year. I don't subscribe to all of the BS that we're getting from some people, but I do see just fundamentally what Trump's plan was, Frank, with the tariffs and all of this. I do see his vision, and I do see the potential for it to really pop off. I hope it does. But at the end of the day, I'm with you on this. You're in charge of yourself, guys, and make sure you pop off. And if every one of us do that, then guess what? We're all going to be okay.
It's going to be good. We have to feel that way. We got one life to live over here, and it's good to know you're Rich. Happy New Year to you. Merry Christmas to the whole family. And
you're back, brother.
Yeah, I'll see you next year.
Yep, and give our love to the fam next year, Frank. Next year, brother.
I know.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Be well. There you go, everybody. That is Rich Baris. You can find him on Locals. I have his Locals in the description of the episode. Big Data Poll, People's Pundit, wherever the hell you're going to find them. We are not going to go to break. I want to bring you guys in. First of all, wherever you are watching right now, if you're on the Rumble, there's a wonderful amount of people right there. Hit the like button. About nearly 800 people on Rumble alone right now, and Rumble is just like YouTube. It's just like X. It's everywhere else. They are all implementing the same kind of policies to try to cut down on spam and the bots and all that other stuff. But then that puts the onus on the audience to establish itself as what they see, high quality, which means you're not lurking. Please give this episode a like. That goes to anybody that you enjoy watching on the internet. When you spend time with me, just drop a comment and drop a like. When you go to Red Pill 78 or anybody else afterwards, do the same for them, because this is where we are right now. You guys, lurking used to be something you could do. Now it kills the channels you love. So thank you so much. Drop a like. And also, I'm going to be reading your super chats. Now, remember, drop a super chat. Tonight, I'm going to collect all the names, going to put it in with tomorrow, collect those names. At the end of tomorrow night's show, we're giving away an ounce of silver, an ounce of silver. I'm going to put in the shark survival kits and all that stuff. And I'll find other things to give away as well. Listen, it's the new year. Yeah, hold on to your butts in the new year. Oh, use promo code Santa tonight. By tomorrow, Molly is going to tally up a name who's going to win the $500 plus in products for Keto Brainz. The year was saved in such a big way by bringing on Molly and Keto Brainz, a product that I have loved for so long. At this point, been using it for a couple of years. It has enhanced coffee that I thought didn't need any enhancing. And it has just made a really incredibly productive morning routine for me around that. And it has created so many great friendships. Molly has been such a wonderful partner in creating the success of the Jamboree as well. So by all means, use promo code Santa, 20% off, ketobrainz.com. The link is in the description. And get your name entered into another gigantic giveaway that'll be announced tomorrow night. All right. Let's see here. First one up, Stowstube says, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo. Oh, what the hell am I doing here? Oh, I guess.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Yes.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. I hope this is still the computer reading it, lol.
Yeah, there was a pause button on. Oh, that's what happens. Dragon Sage says, get her done, Frank. All the best to all the Franklies and their families in 2026. American Girl says, just a quick super chat to say Happy New Year, Frank and Franklies. And then Jay Britt says, man, I need that shark kit. Silver is okay too. Well, keep it inside, my friends. Jay Semo on the Rumble. What an incredible Rumble rant. Thank you, Jay. Love, Rich. Optimistic vision tonight. Merry Christmas. I'm going to crash the Lyndhurst party one year. You're going to love it. You would love Lyndhurst. Even during Halloween. The Halloween stuff. My father does the Halloween and the Christmas displays over there. So let's see what else is over here. And then we're going to move on to some more Nick Shirley stuff. Just I had to show you this stuff. I had to show you just to remind you. This is not some immigrant community mastermind plan. This operation was given to them, like how a father passes down a business to an undeserving son. Vesper says, did Frank say silver? Indeed, I did. Tomcat, thank you. Big Chief Patriot says, hey, Frank, ask Rich his thoughts about Mark Levin coming at him on X. Well, that came up without even seeing this. I didn't know that. Jeez. Mark Levin. Now I'm 1 degree of separation away from the great one. You know, God, what a fall from grace. Meteorite. Let's see here. Happy Monday, Frank. I'm glad Aurora is feeling better. Me too. She's back to her old self. Dancing around, wrestling. I was wrestling 4 kids last night. On the couch, Aurora, her cousin Charlie, her cousin Lennox, and her cousin Santino. And they are just coming at me. And man, Aurora is just so heavy. You know, she's tall and just dense. And I'm picking up Lennox and Santino with one hand, slamming them on the couch 45 minutes straight. I am sore. I feel like it was like medicine ball work. It felt awesome. I was tired as hell afterwards. I could barely get through the end of Stranger Things, which I forced myself to do. Oh golly. Do I have things to say about Stranger Things? They just can't kill anybody off. They refuse to kill off characters. They refuse to kill anybody off. I could have picked 5 people to kill last year alone. Give me your characters and I will kill them off for you. It's just terrible writing. I don't know what the hell they did. We'll get to it. Flip side, people said that they want some joy scrolling on the flip side too, so we'll do some stuff there. Let's see. Amethyst Cat said, oh, thank you, Amethyst. Tennessee TCB says, looking forward to New Year with you, Frank. I'm looking forward to it with you as well. I feel like we built ourselves a foundation for something great. Secret Weapon says, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Secret. 123 SKG. Thank you. Safety Net says, happy, healthy new year 2026. Frank and the Frankly family love you all. Lynn. Okay. All right. Here, take a look at this. Now, here is Nick Shirley going to a Future Leaders Early Learning Center, trying to sign his son up. He made up a son, called him Joey. And this is what he got back when he was there.
At Future Leaders Early Learning Center, this building received over $3 million. Hello, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare? No? Why can't
you can tell that this, I mean, you can see how much it physically hurts for these people to even put thoughts together. They're being asked basic questions. They feel uncomfortable having to think, what do I do next? And the wheels are turning so slowly. There's no way in hell they thought this up by themselves. None. And not only is there a well-resourced network directing and protecting operations here, the most essential piece of the puzzle, as always, is public perception. And here is a woman that gets in Nick Shirley's face and is trying to. This is the Quality Learning Center that got so much attention first and foremost because, of course, outside of the Learning Center, not only is it a discontinued phone number, but learning is spelled leering, Learing. So they blamed it on the printer. And then, of course, absolved themselves of the responsibility of looking up at the sign and realizing that it didn't say learning. Anyway, there's no shortage of white liberal women that are ready to pee and poo all over themselves for the sake of the insane.
blatant this fraud is here at this daycare?
Don't open up!
So this is Quality Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open
They
up!
said they spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up!
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up! We have ice!
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up!
and getting $4 million
Don't
over
open
the
up! It's ice!
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away!
What do you think about that? Are you in
Go
favor?
away!
Are you in favor of that?
Go away!
You know where
You're
the-
not welcome here.
Are you-
Shame on you!
Are you in favor of $1.9
Shame
million
on you. It's
going
ice.
illegally,
Don't open up!
fraudulently to this business that has Quality Learning Center but can't even spell learning right on the door?
Don't open up!
Ma'am, we are not ICE.
I don't care who you are, you don't belong here.
I belong here just like you belong here.
Don't open up! It's ice!
You do realize that there's supposed to be 99 children in here at this building, but there's no one here. This is a child daycare
Minnesota
center.
says 99 children. Paid $1.9 million this year in CCAP funding. Do you know where the children are? Were they kidnapped? They run away? Where are the children? This is state of Minnesota.
Look at that thing.
Right here.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley, ma'am.
And who are you with?
Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley on YouTube.
Yeah, so who are you with here?
Oh, he's just been doing some research investigating the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with Nick Shirley.
This lady, she's calling us ICE. We're just trying to put
Oh my gosh! And she holds the camera like a boomer, and the boomer camera aiming. Oh God! Listen, I can't stress to you when I use the word retarded. I've been doing it for a while before it became fashionable again. When I use the word retarded, I'm talking clinical. This is a clinical assessment I am making. Frank, you are not certified to make that assessment. Yes, but I am qualified. I don't have any medical certifications. I am qualified to let you know when somebody is retarded, where they are their cognitive abilities have been stunted or even regressing. They no longer can move forward. It is we're talking about dictionary definitions of retardation here. Just apply it cognitively to that thing. the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2 that showed up. What the hell was that? That right there is essential, of course, to this the administrative class being able to use them as a human shield. Emotionally damaged liberal women, especially. That is a human shield of accountability because, of course, they all have voting rights. They have rights. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing to think about because this is just so many generations of compounding problems here. So many generations. And like Rich said, don't get caught up with the Somalians. Yes. Culturally incompatible. And 98% of them out there in Minnesota should probably never have been here. And therefore, all the generations that came from that over the last 25 years, and there have been many, probably far more than local Minnesotans, that's for sure, having babies out there. That's just in itself its own thing. The real question is, who brought them over? What was the long-term intent? And who got them set up with their new little pop-up businesses, the Spirit of Halloween daycare centers and all that shit? You know, it just widen the scope because Minnesota is nothing. Nothing. That's $18 billion people are talking about. That's nothing compared to everywhere else. California and New York, God forbid. God forbid, even knowing would make my heart skip several beats. And outside of the crazy, there's just so much. Here's the other ones. We have the judges. That's the other problem. This is the issue here. You know, this is the issue, and you see it washing on through. Here's the ones who hold the strings. This is from Mario Knopfel, I heard. Yeah, and other people who have shown that there is this money line that is going, obviously, from the federal block grants that are being sloshed around to Adult Care LLC and Lucky Child Care Center LLC and Sunshine Child Care Center Incorporated, $1,000 here, $1,000 there. These are all, right here, these are all political contributions to local Somali politicians. And I'm sure somewhere along the line, state contributions to higher office in state and God knows where else. There's skim all over the place. $18 billion. Where do you think that it's all going? Where do you think it's all going? So I just throwing it out. Just throwing it out there before you go and enter your own little Joeys into the local daycare center. Just poke around a little bit, see what's going on. Okay, so listen, here's what we got going on for the rest of the night. I'm going to be reading your super chats. I'll be taking your calls, and I want you to give me a buzz and give me a little bit. We're going to do some joy scrolling a little bit later on, perhaps, maybe the last half hour. But I want to go through 2025. I want to see what we got right and what we're going to be collecting tomorrow when Jay Gulanello is in. I want you guys to call in and give me your predictions. Tomorrow here, I'm going to put this in the chat room right now. I don't know why there's so many John Otter contributions to this prediction. John, can you please go and delete all these? There's like 10,000 John Otter contributions in this one 2026 prediction, and it seems like he's just lifting probabilities off of a gambling site. What is this? You ruined my whole thread. What the fuck is going on over here? Never mind. I'll share the link tomorrow after I clean all this up. God mercy. What is this? Colorado River flows backward. 5.2% chance. That's not what this is all about. Rosie O'Donnell is arrested at Madonna's funeral. 0.009% probability. That is not what this is about. God. You try to do something. I can't. Oh, gosh. Anyway. All right. Anyway, let me get to the 2025. Are you ready? The line is open. You call in with whatever the hell you want. It's been a while. I haven't seen you guys since just before Christmas. So give me a buzz. It's 914-200-0269. I can't wait to hear from you. All right. Let's see here. Attitude at Altitude. This is on the 28th of December last year. My wife predicts that we will discover Atlantis. Well, that did not happen. Do I have like a sad trombone here? Okay, that's good. My wife predicts that we'll discover Atlantis. Well, that didn't happen. I predict that we will have some sort of major scare event intended to increase control over us and hamper progress of the Trump administration. I predict as a follow-up that they will ultimately be unsuccessful. I also predict that they will have another year of wonderful shows on Quite Frankly. Well, that last one worked out. I don't know. Major scares. I think a lot of people would say that there was good things, and there was also quite a few unforced errors. But, not really a hit right there, but thankfully we did have some wonderful shows. Kirk Jopar says the Eagles will beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and the Brewers will beat the Astros in the 2025 World Series. Well, the Eagles did win the Super Bowl, only they did it over the Chiefs, who are now eliminated from contention this year. And the Brewers will beat the Astros in the 2025 World Series. No, that did not happen. The Brewers were soundly defeated by the Dodgers, and the Astros didn't even make it. Good. So, let's take a call from Guatemala. What's going on out there in Guatemala, my friends? You're live on the air.
Catching up with you. I just caught on here about 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about predictions?
Yeah, from 2025.
Okay. Well, I think it landed up a little bit better than it could have. And I think that, man, I'd be scared to death to be living there. But it's only because the only things I ever see anymore is the craziness going on.
Oh, yeah.
Next year, I think next year, we're in a process of changing. It's not just the political thing. There's astrological, the earth chill, all this stuff is going on. And, I think it's a really cool roller coaster ride, actually, if you look at it like that. Like, this is a ride. Enjoy it. Sometimes it's going to be scary. But, we only have one guarantee in this life. And the rest of it, it's up for grabs, so to speak.
I'm with you. And I that's what I was saying with Rich, that, as far as what we're dealing with right now, it's been a little frustrating the second half of the year because, of course, we had tragic events, violent deaths, all political in nature. And then, of course, the kind of fracturing, thanks again for the call, the fracturing that we saw that really resulted from that made its way to that America Fest, where it was just the plan from someone like Ben Shapiro was just to come out firing, to come out firing first and foremost, just try to take everybody out. Mark Levin shaming people on Christmas Day. I didn't even know that was going on. I saw people kind of like trolling Mark Levin on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. I didn't know it had something to do with one of my friends. It's all desperate. Like, you remember we were talking about desperate moves and what was really good, what was really great to see desperate action being taken from perceived opponents in the political sphere and all that. And that is, you have to say, well, if they're shaking up their game plan and they're becoming a little bit more aggressive or defensive or anything like that, it must be because something unforeseen, something uncontrollable, the reins need to be grabbed. And perhaps we are applying some good pressure on the situation. Well, I guess you can say that we've taken the next step because it's Democrat. Like I said, the Democrats, if you want to just give it that name, Democrats, it's so much more than just a party, but it's just easier to slap a label on it sometimes for conversation. The left had a horrible year. They're bad. I mean, everybody that gets sent out for a presser on MSNBC is embarrassing themselves. The nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. Everything they say falls flat. For the first time ever, they weren't able to capitalize on winning some political points during a government shutdown. That was like the longest in history. That nothing is working. They were laying off people more and more. The entire media, I know that they tried to spin the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing into a win and all that stuff. Steve, whatever the hell his name, what the fuck is it? Thank God I'm forgetting them all. What is his name? Steve Corbett? What the fuck is his name again? I'm not looking at the chat room. I need to remember this just to know I'm not having a stroke. Colbert. Still got it. Colbert. It's gone. It's like one loss after another. They have become adept at, trying to spin something that is not an objectively good thing into, this is just the next phase or a new evolution of something, one thing or another. It's just not the case. And just along the way, I like how there is just a bigger rebellion now within Republican ranks. Ben Shapiro was not a Trump guy. Mark Levin was definitely not a Trump guy. These are people who, once all other options were exhausted to chase this guy off the campaign trail in 2020, in 2016, that's when let's start steering them. Trump good, Trump bad. Trump good, Trump bad with the fucking Ben Shapiro thing. I remember that whole thing back there. Just trying to be balanced. And now it's now they're trying to crack the whip and nothing's happening because the generations are changing hands. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It takes a little while, but it is there is a transformation there. It is going to open up some opportunities, I think, for the left who are, I just wonder, is it? Because, we're not too far away from self-made media personalities on the internet who could actually find a way to crowdfund their own campaign. Again, Nick Shirley just put a documentary out there that netted over the course of the last 2.5 days 121 million views. That is without the syndication or the distribution of any of the old networks or whatever the hell else that you would have needed 25 years ago to get a message across that far and wide. So whereas there might be a couple of lost midterms along the way, perhaps there will be new generational voices that come packing their own media mechanism that will be able to snuff out everything and actually be able to get them into the White House to do real things. I don't know. There might be a little bit of a messy transition there as all the old guard at the RNC is licking their chops at the proposition of being able to be without Donald Trump in 3 years. But the future is not rosy for Republicans, and thank God for it. They suck. You think about what we always hear from people. He's a rhino. He's a Republican in name only. No, he's not. He's just a Republican. What would a true Republican be? They're the first progressive party out there. They barely hold anything in contrast to Democrats, aside from the fact that they are a lot less not on the bandwagon of all the social shit. They spend just as much money. Just as much money. They're just as foreign obsessed as anybody else. They have just different flavors of the same shit. And Republican in name only. We need to start nominating some Republicans in name only. Okay? This is just what the party is. A true Republican in name only would be some sort of a Ron Paul Liberty candidate that actually gets in there and does something that people want. You know? I think we have to stop with the whole he's a rhino. Rhinos everywhere. That's the party. That's just the party. Do you know anything about the foundation of the Republican Party? They were the left-wing party in the country. Okay? After the Civil War, when the Democrats were completely politically bankrupted at that point, they essentially sold their soul to pure Marxism and leapfrogged over the Republicans. Jeffersonian. That's what the Democrats used to be. So, Republican in name only. Yeah, maybe that's something that we can do away with. We got to talk about that tomorrow. Or you can call in tonight with that here too. Are there any terms? What are the big overused terms of 2025 that you wish you can do away with? I know that I had a couple that were sent to me from the Discord. I think it's something along, I think all the slop stuff, like Fed slop, AI slop, just the slop kind of shit. What was another big term for 2025? The noticing. The noticing continues. What would you say? What would you say? It doesn't even have to be terms that you think need to go away, but you can bring that up there too. But I definitely think that we need to start distancing ourselves from rhino as a pejorative, because we actually need, if there is any chance of elections yielding some objectively good fruit, then we actually need to elect a couple of rhinos. Because what is a Republican in truth versus name only? People like Ron Paul had to run in name only just to be able to get a spot on the stage. And then they stuffed him into a broom closet and ignored every common sense thing that he said. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Yeah, see, call into the show. It'll send me on a rant. Star Karma says, much love. Thank you, Star. Gribble Sillin says, let's not forget Minnesota changed the state flag, if that's not a signal of the country's direction. Running on Empty says, hi-ho, Silver. Happy New Year. Thank you. Joe Martinez, thank you again for being out there. Joe Martinez, thank you for all the support this year. Let's take a call. 817, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. I was just actually going to give you some insight into some of the statistics that you mentioned with Rich, specifically more so about young adult attendance in church, and then also just conservative liberal lines, things like that, and some of the things you just briefly touched upon. So when it comes to the church attendance, I think that with a lot of the statistics that have been published, at least, they're pointing towards more, I guess, leniency towards non-denominational big churches and not so much mainline Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox, churchgoers, if you will. So a lot of the stats that we might see on Twitter for, hey, there's been a conversion rate of young people who are interested in traditionalism because maybe they were raised a certain flavor of Protestant and never really got traditional ecclesiastical scholastic thought and theology. So they're now converting to Catholicism or to Orthodoxy. I think a lot of that is overblown. But at the same time, though, for every new conversion that either the Catholic Church gets or the Orthodox Church gets, there's at least 5 people who either stop going to mass altogether or just leave the church. But when it comes to people who are waking up to, Israel and this push towards, all these big churches talking so much about, hey, Israel's the best ally, et cetera, I do think there has been an awakening, not just on the religious side of things, but also from the conservative side of things, because conservatives for however many years have been the ones who've been pushing for being pro-Israel and pro-allies, whereas the left has always had that moniker. So now that the Overton window has significantly opened up, I think there's a lot of people who are either converting because of a political leniency, or it's because they think Twitter is real life. Now, of course, I'm speculating, but I'm also looking at statistics as well that showcase this. And so I'll stop right here if you want to chime in a little bit.
No. I think that's a very that's a good point there about whether or not people actually think, and how many people think that Twitter is real life. There is also a lot to be said about people who are converting, are going to church, those who are already going to church, leaving churches, if not because they're just seeing that things are changing or they are changing. I know there's a lot of people who are leaving Catholicism. There have been, I should say, there have been people that have voiced their displeasure with Catholicism and Orthodoxy recently because they are just personally moving farther to the left with their politics. And those two churches in particular, despite all of the bullshit that has come from the last couple of popes, it's very hard to change those cultures. Whereas in Protestantism, if you don't like anything, you can just start your own church, and then you're the mini pope of that church, and then you just can just take what you want, leave what you don't, and all. It's a little bit more a la carte of an experience. So I see that going on. I also see people like there's been quite a few times that I've rolled my eyes in mass, where it's we're praying, and I feel like I'm not participating anymore, because now I'm thinking about things that are interfering with. So I understand there. And one more thing there too. This is another reason why I feel like I always roll my eyes when people use these catch-all phrases like Christian nationalism. Are you a Christian nationalist and all that stuff? Only a leftist, only a godless dupe would think that a phrase like that makes any sense whatsoever when you think about how divided the Christian world is denominationally, whatever the hell it is. It's like, what is the lowest common denominator that would actually create the foundation for so-called Christian nationalist world? It would have to be a solitary church that rose above the rest, because it's like herding cats wherever you look.
Well, do you mind if I chime in a little bit real quick before I hop off? Exactly what you're talking about a little bit beforehand, where you're saying there is this tendency for those who either attend, and it's not necessarily just Catholics who are suffering from this. It's also high church Protestants, including Anglicans, the Church of England, the hellscape that is, Episcopalians, Lutheranism, and Presbyterians, who do have a, more liturgical service, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, they're still losing converts, because, like you're saying, if you're attending the church building itself has all of these amazing sights and smells, where you see incense, you see stained glass windows, that should transmute into the actual sermon, the homilies that either your priest or your pastor is giving. So how come you get all of these young people who are either leaving altogether, are going into non-denominational churches? It's exactly what you're talking about, with the consistent eye rolling, not feeling connected to the mind, the spirit, and the physical nature is not being connected. So there's that miscommunication. But on the one hand, with the problem with a lot of the non-denominational churches is that either they're only focusing on the stories that the pastor brings up, or it might be a scam altogether. So there's all this mismatch. And I think that's why a lot of people are just checking out altogether. The common phrase that you hear a lot is, I'm spiritual, but not religious. I think it goes back into that. And with that thought, I'll leave you to whatever you have.
Well, I thank you so much for the call. And it is a big contributor to the I'm spiritual, but not religious thing. And then again, what is that? And human beings, they do better with structure. We do well under hierarchical structures in many respects. It does well, especially when it comes to issues of spirituality. I don't know. Then people just tend to do what feels good, and that must be right. If it feels good, it must be right. Sometimes it's not the case. God forbid, if I made a religion around all the things I've had fun doing, Anyway, that's a big part of tonight's show, obviously, because that's going to dictate where we go going forward across the board, even when it comes to facing criminality that's all around us and what's going to happen. Like, I saw somebody, who the hell was it? It was just being retweeted. It made its way across my dash on Twitter in some kind of a retweet fashion. Who the hell was it? I forget. They made a comment about white Americans just giving up or something like that, and that if what was uncovered in Minnesota alone had been uncovered in some African nation, that Africans would have burned down in entire villages looking for the people who did it and then strung them up, which I probably is true. Probably is true. And that's one way of getting things done. I'm sure you can, in that kind of a emotional, in the heat of the moment, I'm sure you can sweep a lot of people up in that kind of a raid that did not deserve it, which is why it's good to have a justice system. But we don't have a justice system. We have a legal system. If you know the difference, then you know what I'm talking about. It's just, we have this whole system that is set up where these high priests and priestesses, these judges that have their own interpretation of all things, their worldview and things that they want to set right, because every case that they handle, everything that they are able to influence is precedent that will be able to be referenced in the future. They are shaping the culture with every decision that they make, or every opinion that they pass, everything, every trial they preside over. That's just what it is. And then you have these mealy-mouthed lawyers that go on out there and they just tie things up in process, and and just guilty as sin people are allowed to just go off, especially if they are people of high political importance. And right now, everyday Somalian refugees in Minnesota are of high political importance right now. That blast radius of accountability needs to be shrunk to a pinpoint to make everybody that's making grandiose statements about how bad this is and why it's predicate to get rid of everybody, which I'm down with getting rid of most of them, to be honest. Everybody. I feel like we got to open up the books on every last one of those transplanting programs and just reverse it all. It's bad. I don't think that there was any good faith in the creation of any of those programs. Sorry. I guess I'm not sorry at all. I just don't believe that there's any good faith programs. And that is not to say that a Somalian family from Somalia wouldn't be able to come to the decision that they want to be able to become Americans. That they want to bring their talents, they want to bring their family, they want to leave behind that life, the culture, all that stuff, and they want something bigger, they want something better for themselves, and they're going to nestle them in a nice little, I don't know, get a little plot of land in Wyoming after they go through the immigration process and they learn English and they have job prospects and they have actually a decent education, versus the average educational outcome out there. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. That's not what we have. Across the board, that's not what we have. Our immigration policy for many years now has been whoever is closest, just come. If you're closest to the border, just crawl over. That's been the immigration policy. 612, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. It's Kat, 1980. I live in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and I really wanted to vent about the Somalians.
Go ahead, Kat.
Great. I got to give you the 411. So back to Rich's point about it having to be bigger than them because they're all retarded. It's still, I remember in the 90s when a lot of Hmong came over here, and the running joke was that if you're behind a crappy driver, you'll look and you'll see that they're, but ultimately they integrated really well. It took a little bit, but now they own a bunch of small businesses. You see them at church, they're great. The Hmong, 10 out of 10, I do recommend. The Hmong, the Mexicans, love them both, right? But I remember when the Somalians started coming and they started taking over what's called Cedar Riverside over here in Minneapolis. This was the most ugly building to these 2 or 3 low-income buildings that used to be mostly African-American. They started taking it over. And slowly they started taking over the cheap apartments, and they smell. I don't know what they're cooking because I'm married to an African, a Liberian, which is the West Coast. Somalia is somewhere in the nether regions of hell. But they're cooking. It's they're cooking rotten fish. And then in with the Somalians come roaches. Every single building these people occupy becomes infested with vermin. I am not kidding you. They buy 50 pounds of food at a time. I don't know if this is what pirates just do because they all think they're drowning in the ocean of their own sin or what the hell's happening. But with them comes this stench, right? And then all of this food, and they're the worst drivers. I swear to God, if you're behind someone on the road doing the dumbest shit, you're looking at the hijab every time. And I was like, what the hell is this? Because I'm thinking of the Hmong and I'm thinking of the Mexicans. I'm like, y'all figured it out. What is your problem? And then one day I was driving a 42nd in South Minneapolis, not far from their Somali capital, Mogadishu, on the other side of South Minneapolis. And I saw they have their own driving school. Oh, okay. So now this makes sense. Now they're teaching each other how to drive like absolute rotting turds. Never, ever do they ever get it right. If you see a car accident in Minneapolis, one of them's wearing a hijab every single freaking time. And then their children, look, there's something here called the Kia boys and the Hyundai boys. And what they do is they steal their cars and drive them like complete lunatics through the city. Now, you have to be careful driving through Minneapolis every single day. You have to clear every single intersection every single time because these mofos will be going 70 miles an hour down a residential street, lying in the bike lane. I can't tell you how many times driving home on Portland, which is a one-way with parking on both sides, and then 2 lanes of traffic and a bike lane, they'll go like ripping down the road, fixing to kill somebody, dude. They don't care. So I was asking, I work at a school, so, it's a well-meaning, toxic, compassionate liberals, right? Gross. Lovely people, completely wayward in their thinking about immigration. And so I was asking them, this one particularly flaming liberal, what's up with the Somalian culture? Of course, I didn't frame it like that because she would have pooped herself. But she's like, oh, well, the thing is that culturally, they value wiliness. Wiliness, Frank.
Wiliness?
Wily, W-I-L-Y. Look it up. It literally means to deceive the people around you and basically rob folks around you. Wiliness. And now she's a person who owns a bunch of buildings and will put up illegal immigrants so that they have a place to stay while they're being illegal. This is the kind of person she is. She's really invested in non-American culture.
And wait. She said, listen, I have so many friends who work in schools around here, and they deal with the exact types of airheads, well-meaning airheads that you're describing right there. But she actually described wiliness as being a redeeming part of their culture, or just something, or did she say it was
cultural? It's an intrinsic cultural value. Like in America, ideally, if we weren't half insane, we value independence.
But
right?
did she?
We value being able to
she
take
said
care of ourselves. They value wiliness.
Okay, but wait. But Kat, she said it in a way where she was not showing any sense of judgment about it. It wasn't just like it was a matter of fact. She didn't like it, but that's the way it was, or it was something where she celebrated it.
She celebrated it. She's like, see, it was framed like, see, the problem is we just don't understand.
We don't understand deceitfulness.
Yeah.
We don't understand the value of being deceitful. I mean,
yeah, because I'll tell you what, their kids are. I mean, look, I have children. I'm a mom. I'll throw myself for a child, right? But their children, Frank, they're the worst. They demoralize all of their classmates, and let me tell you why. I'll tell you culturally why that is. Because in their culture, their mothers and their fathers, they will not correct their sons. They never tell them no. I've seen it in public. I've seen their children many, many times over the decades acting like complete flaming assholes in public. And their mom and their dad say nothing. And if you say something, you look at their kids, pretty soon, you know how you saw in Nick Shirley's video that of that African lady about the child care center when the two fat ones were outside tripping around their minivan, how they talk? That's how they'll talk to you. They'll start like pecking you with their death language, right? If you even look at their kids when their kids are acting like assholes.
Okay, I get it, Kat.
Okay.
It's.
I'm gonna come off the soapbox now.
No, I know. I can tell. I can tell this is personal. I can tell it's personal. I can tell you can probably go for another hour. But I'll just say, I'll say this, and thank you for the call. Hopefully, we can get you on. The flip side starts in 9 minutes, and we'll go for another 25 minutes. Kat has called in on the flip side a few times. Yeah, well, remember in 2024 when we were talking about Ohio, certain parts of Ohio with the Haitians out there, it's the same. So I'm saying, don't get too hung up on one thing. They're creating all of these incompatible diasporas all over the place. This is the balkanization process. Now, you can balkanize a country intellectually and, ideologically. That could be. It could be an ethnically homogenous society, monolithic society that is just ideologically broken apart. That they, that can happen with the subversion that we see. But this is something different. Something different. This is why multiculturalism needs censorship to thrive. All these things, everything that we grew up understanding was an American virtue, an American culture, the underpinning of American society has to go away in order for this madness to continue, at least to the point where it is absolutely too late to stop it. And it's probably too late to stop it in a lot of places. Nobody's going to be there. Anybody tied to these daycare centers are going to be whisked away. Maybe we get about 100 people taken. Who the hell knows? Who knows? But you think that anywhere near the majority of the 100,000 Somalians in Minneapolis are going to be taken out of the country? What about the Haitians that were no doubt eating dogs and cats and ducks? I mean, this is just what's going on. It's what's going on. There were standards that we had 40 years ago that are just not there anymore. You don't go into the town square and pick up one of the geese and rip its head off right there and walk home like you're I don't know. You don't do that. You just don't do that. That's where we are. That's where we are. Let's see what else. What else do we have? We're going to go through more predictions from last year. Let's see. Mark Andrews knew about my prediction and dropped that ball. Oh, sorry. This was not too long ago. Vesper says Matt will be engaged to be married. Wow. Vesper got it. But this time last year, we were already losing track of him. Late December 2024, already losing track of him. I could have seen that, but good job, Vesper. Jalen Wedding says, I predict that RFK Jr. will call into the show on a Friday night that both Matt and Dr. Juan Gulanello are in studio. I predict the biggest news about alien life will be dropped by mid-June, but quickly forgotten next day due to the next meme girl taking the nation by storm. No alien news, no RFK on the show. One Way Mel says, my prediction for 2025 is that King Charles will die. Alas, he's still alive. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Blonde Sweetness says that my prediction is that red dye gets banned in the U.S. Didn't it? Didn't red dye get banned? Didn't some liberal female judge just put a stop on the dye banning the other day, actually? I don't know. Ginster says, I predict that drone activity will increase and spark more speculation as to its origins. Also predict that the military-industrial complex will perhaps get a bit sloppy and eventually get caught as the perpetrator of said events. That was at 10 p.m. on December 30th, 2024. I was sitting at my desk in my office doing all of my end of night stuff, uploading the podcast I just did with Jay. My nose is leaking. I had taken the zinc and everything else, and I was holding on to dear life. And when I would wake up the next morning, nope. No New Year's Eve for me. But no, that did not happen. The drone activity did continue into that first week of January. That's when we had the Cybertruck bombings and we had all the weird fog that was happening along the East Coast and the Midwest, the kind of powdery fog and stuff like that. But there was nothing that was, there was no big thread connection to the military-industrial complex. Nothing like that. Let's see here. Maliardi says, I'm not excited about the dire predictions, but here are a few that could go either way. AI in daily life. AI assistance becomes common in households, helping with chores. Still waiting for my robot. Well, not just yet. We got a lot of previews on what those house robots are going to be all about. Space tourism. First commercial trip to the moon announced. We will be able to mine our own cheese. Well, I didn't see anything else on that, though I just did read with you guys last week that there might be a nuclear base on the moon, and that 2028 is going to be the next mission up there. Climate tech, major breakthrough in carbon capture technology. These will be called trees. That one works. Virtual reality, VR, becomes the norm for remote work and entertainment. We can sit in our porch and laugh as people run into things. Health tech, wearable health monitors predict and prevent diseases. You will still have to question the reliability of the diagnosis, though. Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's see here. Jimmy the Shark says, I predict that Jay Gulanello will tell us his real name by the summer of 2025. Also, Project Bluebeam will take place and people will lose more freedoms. Still no Bluebeam. And Jay Gulanello's name is out there if you know how to find it. But there was no reveal. TC Waddy is the last ones I will say. And we'll do a little bit more tomorrow as we take in all of your predictions. The Rams will win the Super Bowl. That did not happen. There will be a major earthquake in South California. That did not happen either. The Rams seem to be a favorite to go pretty far this year. I was watching the Bills ruin it for themselves against the Eagles yesterday. That could have been a Super Bowl matchup. The Bills are just, what the hell's wrong with you? They left 6 points on the field over the course of that third quarter alone with going for it on fourth down and screwing it up instead of just taking the field goal. They would have won. They would have won when it was all said and done. Screwed themselves up. You take the points. You're only down by 13. You have a whole other quarter to go. What the hell are you doing? So they screwed themselves, and then they went for that 2-point conversion, and they missed it. Wide open receiver just led too far with the pass, but the Rams, they can go in 2025, but not last year. That's that. Hey, how about this? That season 5 of Stranger Things will end with just one gay thing after another. Could you have predicted that it's not just the character that where they're going to have Will come out as gay, but that his coming, he needed to tell everybody he was gay because it's the only way. Everybody knowing that he was gay is the only way he can accept himself well enough to unlock unbridled power so that he can team up against Vecna. There's so many stupid things happening right now. I'm actually just watching it for the lulls now, which I think is sad. They just watching this thing, it's just hilarious. There's so many things I don't get. And I will be doing a Stranger Things B-sides at some point. Maybe I'll do it on New Year's Day. I'm going to be doing a B-sides broadcast from Studio B on New Year's Eve morning because I won't be doing the show at night. I won't be doing a B-sides on New Year's Eve day, not New Year's Day, but I don't know, we'll see. Definitely New Year's Eve morning we'll be doing a B-sides. We'll see what that's all about. And that'll be that. Okay, everybody, so here's what we got for you. On the flip side tonight, we are going to be doing some joy scrolling. We're going to be taking your calls, whatever the hell else is going on. I'm putting the link in the chat room right now. Let me make sure I get all the super chats. Pablo Wenscabar says, here's some money for the Quite Frankly Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good. Two Dogs Mike D says, hey, sorry I'm late. Can you start over? Thanks. You got it. You got it, Mike. We're starting over right now. Get to the flip side. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to read the rest of the gold pills over there. And tomorrow is another day. 7 o'clock right here. Jay Gulanello will be in. I have so many cool things to do. Also, go to the forum on quitefrankly.tv and get into the 2026 predictions. At the bottom of the long list of betting odds for obscure things that John Otter spammed the thread with. With that, thank you all. Have a great night. Hat tip to Rich Baris for another fantastic appearance. And yes, that is all for us. I will catch you on the flip starting right now.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. It's a one and all. It's been a wonderful time. And I'm really sad to see the year go. I don't know why. Even if it's a challenging year, I don't want it to go. Just, we got to do it all over again. But I like doing that with you. And that starts again at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Go become a sponsor of the show. We need your help in all aspects. You can become a member right through YouTube. You can go to quitefrankly.tv/sponsor right at the top there. It doesn't matter where you go. The members only content is only getting better. Become a member for the Culture Club alone. But yes, tomorrow's another day. Thank you for tonight.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
Meow.